So for this Pokemon piece, I actually made some sketches on paper. Wait, I can show you that. And I did some more sketches of the Pokemon that I want to have in this picture, and I just took a photo of everything and just put it in Photoshop and then sketched over it to have like one consistent line work. So yeah, let's just jump into here and let's get Pokemon going! Bad jokes! Alright, so this video started out as a conversation about Pokemon Go and my favorite generation of Pokemon, which is Gen 2. However, as I struggled with this painting more and more, I found myself searching for ways to complete it without giving up. As you can see, it's completed now, so yeah, I wanted to share the lessons I learned on the way with you guys. To start out, I already did the sketch and layout on paper, and then I basically just filled in the colors, which were also pretty clear. So while I'm doing that, let me just briefly talk about Pokemon. So yeah, if you just want to see me fail over and over, skip to this part of the video. So I still occasionally play Pokemon Go, and I was surprised at the huge backlash at first. And there were different types of backlash, and I don't mean the one that was because of the terrible launch and the technical difficulties of the game, which, if you keep in mind that this was probably one of the biggest AR projects and the first one that got like mainstream hype, it was probably just a nightmare to make it work on every device, with every service provider and so on. So for what it wasn't that bad, but I agree that it generally was pretty bad. But that's not the backlash I'm talking about. I'm also not talking about the hipster backlash, as I like to call it, which is people dismissing something because it's popular, which, if you think about it, it has no real purpose beside for them to show how different and unique and edgy they are. Yeah. If you enjoy something, you can enjoy it no matter how many people besides you enjoy it, and if you don't, just don't ruin the fun for others. So, what's the backlash I'm talking about then? I was pretty surprised at the amount of people that say that Pokemon Go is not a real Pokemon game. Duh! Of course they are right. Trading Pokemon, Pokemon battles, leveling new Pokemon, all of that is not an option. However, most of the people complaining are huge fans of the first Pokemon games, and when you ask them about the Safari Zone, they will tell you it's the best thing ever! And then they'll continue detailing that one time they caught a Chansey and oh my god, it was all so exciting and blah. I'd love to have Pokemon and Pokemon Go tied to areas much more. So you'd really have to travel to find all of them. It would be like a real-life Safari Zone or pre-Pokemon battles Pokemon journey. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on the whole Pokemon Go topic. I'm probably one of the few people that's still playing the game. Moving on to art. Let's start with the actual lessons I learned. If you are stuck with one part of an image, switch to another. You can see me do this a lot, just to keep my brain kind of flowy. I also often start with parts that I want to get right first, like the face, or laying down all the base colors, making them match. And when that looks great, I get a confidence boost, and then I move on to the stuff I really don't want to do, like the hands. And in between that, you can just see me jump from element to element, trying to get them all to the same level, but constantly switching between them. If you are still stuck on one part, use references. This is probably obvious to everyone who's been drawing for a long time, but if you are new to drawing, using references is the norm. You don't have to have everything in your head, nobody does. Eventually, if you draw the same thing over and over, of course you're gonna remember how it looks like. But if you're starting or you're drawing something that you usually don't draw that often, just use references, like this dude! By the way, stock photos are great for reference sometimes, and just scrolling through them always makes me giggle because they're so bad. If you have trouble finding references, Gumroad provides a lot of reference libraries for free. And if everything else fails and not even Google can give you a reference that you need, just take a photo of yourself. The next thing is step away from your image. If your composition sucks, change it. This is a controversial topic because you should always plan your image in advance and have a solid composition from the beginning. But sometimes you're just too excited and you want to get started right away and you want to draw that thing that you've been thinking about all day, and then the next day you look at it and you're like, oh no, I messed everything up! And now you have to change your composition. In that case, just be honest with yourself. Would this change make for a better image? And if the answer is yes, change it. If you have to collapse layers or erase parts that you've already drawn, then just do it. And never grow so attached to anything that you don't want to change it, because you already drew all of this. You can draw it again, probably even better than the first time. So don't be too nervous about it. Alright. That was the stage I left the image in for 2 weeks because I didn't know how to continue. I completely changed Umbreon's pose, I added another Pokemon, I wanted a different background, and everything felt so unbalanced and it was just so much work to fix it. There were so many things in that image that I didn't like, and on top of that there were also so many mistakes, like wrong shadows, wrong weird light sources, anatomy stuff, color imbalance, and just so much that I needed to fix. So I just left the image at that stage to deal with it another day. So what do you do then? In my case, I just changed my mindset and the way I worked on this image. Instead of being down that I couldn't finish this piece in the time span that Pokemon Go Gen 2 was still relevant, I just changed my focus to finishing a pretty picture. I also changed my working environment, if you can call it that. I put on one of my favorite YouTubers, grabbed my tablet, and sat on the couch. While watching YouTube, time flew by much faster, and I didn't even realize that I almost spent 1 hour fixing up so many small mistakes that were demotivating me before. On the next day, the foundation for the image was suddenly way better than the day before, and I continued painting with much more confidence. Also, I stopped recording on my PC at this point because I had to render video stuff in the background and therefore my PC was slowing down. Benefit of that was that now not every brushstroke I did was on record anymore, and that also made me feel more confident to try out stuff. After that, the image was at a stage where I was happy, but it was missing that certain something to really make it special. This is often the point where I introduce randomness. Randomness can give you happy little mistakes. So what I did is I dropped this abstract pattern that I did a while ago into the image, and then I played with the perspective, layer mode, and after a while, that gave me the idea to add water to the painting. So for that idea to work, I needed to change Squirtle's whole head. I didn't make that change immediately, but rather develop the water and the rest of the image further. This was to motivate me to make the bigger head change in the end. In theory, it makes no difference when I change the head. But for me to do it immediately and then to fix so many small things again is demotivating. As opposed to, oh, this painting is basically finished because I cleaned up all this other small stuff and everything else is working. I just to fix this one last huge thing, which is Squirtle's head. So that's what I did in the end. And I can still see so many things that are wrong with this image, and I'm never 100% happy with anything that I put out, and I think it's the same for most artists, but if you're hearing this, just know that that's okay. Just take all the lessons you learned from this image and move on. You don't have to spend hours and hours and hours on this one thing to make it perfect, because while you're drawing you are improving, and when you finish the image you will be a better artist than when you started it. So you will never be fully happy. That's actually kind of depressing. Why am I talking about this? Just be happy that you created another cool painting and don't be too hard on yourself. And yeah, these were the tips that I have on how I motivated myself to finish this particular painting. Maybe some of you just draw all day and finish everything in one go. But if you're a bit like me and do 10 projects at a time, you often have to stop one piece and finish it after weeks have passed. If you have any tips yourself about how you motivate yourself to finish a tricky painting, please let me know about it in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video so far, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!